Introducing George J. Socha, JD, Bryan University eDiscovery Board Member, Principal, Socha Consulting, Co-founder, EDRM. EDRM is the leading framework and reference model for managing the eDiscovery process.
The growth in eDiscovery has been spawned as much as anything else by the growth in electronically stored information. Not that long ago, in corporations, governments, individuals, you had 3 places to go for information. You went to people's desks, offices, retained records in warehouses, but you were going places to look for paper. Then you went to people's minds to draw information out of their heads, and finally you went to tangible objects. You looked at things. Now, if you're thinking of going to those places, you really need to be thinking about going to places where information is stored electronically, because the volume of information stored that way vastly surpasses anything else out there, and the type and quality of that information, the immediacy of that information, is far beyond anything that was previously available. Well, I've been called the father of EDRM. EDRM has, if you will, 2 fathers, Tom Gelbman and me. And EDRM is the outgrowth of a survey we used to do of the electronic discovery market. In the first couple of years that we did the survey, we kept hearing from people variations of the same response, which was for them to say to us, look, you don't understand what electronic discovery is. It's what we do. Those folks out there, those folks there, ignore them, they don't do it. We heard that from people who focused on preserving and collecting data, people who processed data, people who put it up in review platforms, and then people who provided reviewers. And we said, well, they can't all be right. There's got to be a one thing. We launched what we thought was going to be a 1-year activity to try to answer the questions, 1, what is electronic discovery? And 2, what do you do about it? We're now in our 8th year of what we thought was a 1-year undertaking, and it looks like we'll have work to do for some time to come. Project management in many ways is the focal point in eDiscovery, and a project manager is in some ways the glue that holds the pieces together. A project manager in some ways is the person most responsible for making sure that all the disparate activities that make up the electronic discovery process move along in an orderly and predictable fashion, at least as orderly and predictable as you can be in litigation, and trying to keep them on time and on budget, or when it becomes apparent that they're not going to be on time and on budget, figure out why, figure out what to do about it, and how to move forward from there. But the project managers really are the glue that holds it all together. An expert project manager has to have a range of qualities that you would never really expect to find all in one person. So it's a bit of a challenge. On the one hand, you need someone with extreme patience, someone who is unflappable, someone who can put up with totally unreasonable changes in scheduling and pricing and the like, and not get riled by it. At the same time, you have to have someone who's capable of stepping down and stepping down hard on people who are not with the program, if you will. They should have a respectable level of understanding of the different components of the process and how it operates. They don't need to be expert in each and every step, but they do need to understand what's going on. Most importantly, they need great communication skills and they need great organizational skills. Take those 2 things and tie them in with good substantive knowledge, and then over time, the more work experience they get, the better, and you get a really good project manager as a result. Electronic discovery project managers are hired by any of a number of organizations and people. In terms of the types of organizations, law firms, of course, corporations, sometimes within their legal departments, sometimes the IT departments, and then any of a number of other different departments potentially within a corporation. Governments, very similar to corporations that way. And then the companies that deliver electronic discovery services and even software hire project managers as well. Within those organizations, there's no uniformity when it comes to the title of the person who will have the hiring responsibility. In a law firm, you just don't know, without knowing something about that particular law firm, whether it will be a partner, a senior partner, a junior partner, an associate, a head of litigation support, head of electronic discovery, IT director, head of human resources, or yet some other position. It varies greatly from one firm to another. There's just no predicting. The opportunities in eDiscovery for someone who would like to be a project manager are probably right now among the best of opportunities for people looking for positions in law firms. That's not to say that they are great or uniformly great. We're still going through a great struggle with the economy. But law firms are becoming increasingly aware that they need to take on electronic discovery and take it on directly. And as soon as they start doing that, they realize someone has got to manage the process for them, or that process is going to fall apart. You can get a really good idea about how strong a law firm's or a provider's processes are by looking at who they have as project managers, how they treat those project managers, and how long those project managers have been with them. And what you see is that the ones that do those things well tend to be the ones who also do well in the electronic discovery arena. Now, that said, most law firms have no one in that position. Most law firms, of course, are 5 lawyers or less, but even when you look at law firms 25 and up in terms of number of lawyers, still, most of those law firms have no one in that position. Ultimately, over time, a huge percentage of those firms are going to need someone in that position. So there's going to be a growing demand for people who are able to step in and take on that role within law firms. To prepare people for this field, Bryan University is putting together really an exemplary, as far as I can tell from my relatively limited involvement today, an exemplary program to help train people who are sometimes coming from within the legal industry, sometimes from IT, sometimes from somewhere else, train them in the basics of electronic discovery project management, but doing so in a way that is intimate in the best and highest use of that word. What I mean is in a setting where they are able to work closely with the high quality folks who are delivering the instruction and have contact back and forth with them on a regular basis. And they're able to do it in a way that's quite interactive as well, so that the students are not just passive recipients of information, but engaged in a very active learning scenario, which I think will much better prepare them to go out into the workforce with these skills.